Jeju's energy independence. On April 1, 2006, Jeju experienced a large-scale blackout due to the breakdown of a submarine cable, which highlighted its high dependence on electricity from the mainland. This incident underscored the need for an independent energy system. With its abundant wind resources, Jeju identified wind power as the most viable alternative, playing a key role in its energy transition. Expansion and strategy for renewable energy. In May 2012, Jeju announced the Carbon-Free Island 2030 plan, aiming not only to reduce carbon emissions, but also to achieve energy self-sufficiency across the island through renewable energy. This plan focused on reducing dependence on fossil fuels by massively introducing wind and solar power, allowing Jeju to generate its own energy without relying on mainland electricity. As of 2022, Jeju generated 19.2% of its electricity from renewables, with a total installed capacity of 900 megawatts, recording the highest renewable energy generation ratio in Korea. In July 2006, Jeju gained increased autonomy as a special self-governing province, enabling it to approve wind power projects directly. This attracted many wind energy companies and investors. However, concerns about unregulated development and local resident conflicts arose. To address these issues, Jeju introduced a designation system in 2011, focusing wind power development in specific areas to prevent uncontrolled expansion. Offshore wind farms and community acceptance. Jeju currently operates 24 wind farms, generating approximately 319 megawatts from both offshore and onshore facilities. The Tamra offshore wind farm, South Korea's first commercial offshore wind project, is a notable example. With a capacity of 30 megawatts, it reduces CO2 emissions by 42,000 tons annually, powers 24,000 households, and supports local economic growth. Although the project was approved in 2006, its development faced delays, with construction only beginning in 2015 due to local opposition and environmental concerns. Offshore wind power was a new concept at the time, raising worries about its potential impact on the marine ecosystem and fishing activities.
During the early development stages of the Tamra offshore wind farm, residents expressed significant concerns about the impact on the marine ecosystem and fishing activities. Specifically, they were worried about a potential reduction in fish populations and the environmental damage caused by the offshore structures. At that time, offshore wind power was a new concept in Korea, and the lack of information amplified the residents' anxiety. The biggest challenge was gaining residents' understanding of the environmental and economic benefits of wind power and building trust. Initially, there was much resistance due to the novelty of wind power, and overcoming this required continuous communication and persuasion. Two main factors helped shift the residents' perspective. First, the wind farm became a new tourist attraction, which had a positive impact on the local economy. As it gained attention on social media, more and more visitors were drawn to the area, boosting local businesses and creating new economic opportunities for the residents. This direct benefit made the community realize that wind power could be a valuable asset to the region. Second, environmental concerns were gradually alleviated. The pilot project showed that the wind farm had little effect on noise levels and fishing activities, while the underwater structures actually served as artificial reefs, leading to an increase in fish populations. These positive outcomes eased initial worries and fostered trust in the environmental safety of wind power. The residents of nearby Dumori and Gumdeungni, after seeing that the Tamra offshore wind farm could bring real economic benefits and have no negative environmental impact on their region, not only stopped opposing the project, but began actively supporting and even pushing for the second phase of the wind farm. As a result, when other wind farm projects were proposed across Jeju, opposition from local residents significantly decreased. In fact, communities are now competing to host offshore wind farms. Thanks to the model of harmony established with the Tamra offshore wind farm, other regions have been able to plan and promote similar projects in close cooperation with their local residents.
Balancing renewable energy supply and demand. Jeju has been building an energy self-sufficiency model focused on wind and solar power. However, intermittency has emerged as a major challenge, making it difficult to balance power supply and demand. To manage this, Jeju introduced curtailment in 2015, limiting the output of solar and wind plants to stabilize the grid.
Since the announcement of the Carbon-Free Island 2030 vision and policy in 2012, Jeju has been one of the most dedicated local governments in expanding and promoting renewable energy. As a result, by 2023, Jeju achieved the highest renewable energy generation rate in Korea. However, as renewable energy facilities continue to grow over more than a decade, Jeju faced the challenge of curtailing power generation since 2015. Curtailment occurs when renewable energy generated cannot be fully utilized, which could otherwise lead to large-scale blackouts. To prevent this, power generation is forcibly reduced. In 2023 alone, there were around 180 curtailments of wind and solar power generation. Renewable energy generation must always be balanced with consumption. The increasing instances of curtailment indicate that we have not been able to develop sufficient demand sources to fully utilize the energy produced to match the rapid growth in energy supply. Compared to the mainland, Jeju lacks large industrial complexes, so energy consumption during the day is relatively low. Being a major tourist destination, energy use spikes in the evenings when tourists return to their accommodations and residents come home from work. However, renewable energy, particularly solar, peaks during the day when the sun is up. This mismatch between energy production and consumption leads to the worsening of curtailment as more renewable energy facilities are built.
2035 Carbon Neutrality and Energy Transition. The original CFI 2030 plan aimed to transition the power generation and transportation sectors to renewable energy, but was insufficient for achieving carbon neutrality. While it focused on expanding renewable energy, it failed to address intermittency challenges, leading to grid instability and curtailment. Consequently, Jeju developed a new energy transition scenario to stabilize renewable energy integration. Announced on May 1, 2024, this scenario seeks to transform the entire energy value chain, emphasizing renewable energy and green hydrogen. The goal is to become a global green hydrogen hub island, promoting significant shifts across power generation, transportation, industry, and daily life to achieve carbon neutrality by 2035.
The most critical aspect of energy management is balancing supply and demand effectively. Jeju believes that rather than simply expanding renewable energy, it is essential to establish a rational energy portfolio that optimizes how we utilize various energy resources. Within Jeju's energy transition plan, green hydrogen is set to play a pivotal role. Renewable energy that cannot be fully utilized as electricity can be converted into green hydrogen, a clean energy resource. This green hydrogen can then be applied across various sectors, such as transportation, daily life, and industry. One prominent application is in power plants. Currently, most thermal power plants burn coal or natural gas, which leads to greenhouse gas emissions. By integrating hydrogen energy into these plants, we can significantly reduce the carbon emissions from power generation. In Jeju, the cycle begins with harnessing renewable energy, converting it into green hydrogen, and then utilizing this hydrogen in power plants. The core of Jeju's energy transition roadmap is reducing greenhouse gas emissions by leveraging clean energy in this closed-loop system.
Green hydrogen offers a significant advantage due to its high energy density, allowing for the storage of large amounts of energy in smaller volumes than batteries. This capability enables surplus renewable energy to be converted into hydrogen for later use, which can then be transformed back into electricity when needed. As a result, green hydrogen effectively stabilizes the grid and mitigates curtailment challenges, addressing intermittency issues caused by renewable energy fluctuations. Jeju has established electrolysis facilities to produce hydrogen from renewable sources and aims to generate over 60,000 tons of green hydrogen annually by 2035 for base load power generation, supporting its carbon neutrality goals.
We have announced our vision for carbon neutrality by 2035, along with an energy transition scenario to implement this vision. To achieve carbon neutrality by 2035, we must offset around 4.7 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions. The major sectors contributing to these emissions are power plants, transportation, particularly the large number of vehicles on our roads, and other industrial and residential sectors. To address this challenge, we are focusing on green hydrogen by transitioning power plants to clean energy sources, converting the energy used in mobility, industry, and residential sectors to clean renewable energy and green hydrogen. We have concluded that we will be able to offset 4.7 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions and achieve carbon neutrality by 2035.
In addition to green hydrogen, other flexibility resources are critical for maintaining the stability of Jeju's energy system. A key example is the energy storage system, which stores surplus electricity generated during the day and releases it during periods of high demand, such as in the evening. This helps balance the grid by storing renewable energy when it's abundant and using it when production decreases. Following the 181 instances of curtailment in 2023, it has become clear that expanding flexibility resources, such as ESS, is essential to managing the intermittency of renewable energy and maintaining grid stability.
The mismatch between peak production times and energy consumption remains a challenge, and curtailment often occurs when energy supply exceeds demand. To address this, Jeju has been pioneering the development of large-scale battery storage systems, the first of its kind in Korea. These systems allow surplus energy, particularly from solar power, to be stored during peak production hours and utilized during periods of higher demand, such as after sunset. This approach maximizes the use of clean energy and minimizes curtailment.
Moreover, Jeju has introduced distributed energy specialized zones, where electricity is generated and stored at multiple small-scale locations, decentralizing power distribution. This shift from traditional, centrally operated power plants to distributed energy sources like small power plants and batteries is crucial for ensuring grid stability. By promoting these specialized zones, Jeju is driving the development of new energy business models that secure various flexibility resources and support its renewable energy goals. Jeju's journey towards energy independence and carbon neutrality highlights its commitment to a sustainable energy system, particularly through the integration of green hydrogen. The island's energy transition scenario effectively utilizes renewable energy across power generation, mobility, and industry. By advancing these initiatives, Jeju positions itself as a leader in the global energy transition and provides a scalable model for other regions seeking carbon neutrality.